after the show, and so Jody and I are actual rabid football fans. We're mostly college ball fans. Doesn't mean we don't do some pro ball stuff. Sam, you do both.
Yeah.
And it's interesting this season. Jody and I have had a very different opinion on the excessive celebration penalties. And
do you mean the players' excessive celebration, or like the fans rushing the field excessive celebration?
Right. This is about the players.
Oh, yeah.
And so, both the NCAA and the NFL have rules on excessive celebration. And I know that they've been controversial because they can be a little subjective, right?
Yeah, I think to me, that's the big problem. There's times when I see somebody do something and it's like, oh, that's cute, and it's flag, and it's like, come on.
I know.
And other times where it's like they go on and on.
And then
nothing
happens.
Yeah.
My thing is, and Murphy's more traditional, I guess. My thing is, let them celebrate for 3 seconds. When you have done something like catch a football from 50 yards and the most beautiful, perfect thing, and you just scored for your team, I think how could you stop yourself physically from celebrating? It's impossible.
But, yeah.
I can't stop myself from celebrating when I get a good deal, or when we're playing Uno and I win. You think I can sit there and just
you don't get flagged?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like being celebratory.
Yeah,
it's a part of being alive. It's life.
And yes, and that's correct. It's not a celebration penalty. It's an excessive celebration penalty.
Okay. Well, last week I saw one little shake touchdown and a shake, and I think there was a penalty for it.
I don't remember that.
Or maybe you and I just got into it.
See, for me, the only time that to me the celebration thing becomes excessive, and I agree with it, is gesturing to the crowd. That's not. The celebrating and actually directing that at the audience and the crowd, to me, is where it becomes a problem. Yeah, because think about it. As a kid, you're taught when you're playing a board game, it doesn't mean you can't be excited, but you don't want to cross a line that then starts to gloat. And I think the reason that the penalty exists in the first place is that if the opposing team is there in the stands and that's what you're doing, you're at the student section of the opposing team.
But aren't they sometimes not gloating at the opposing team, but they're just celebrating with their team fans? Aren't they?
I guess hence this is where the ref comes in.
Yeah, to me, like a quick little dance is nothing that should be. It's like that's great, but as long as you're not, like Murphy said, directing it at somebody or making fun of some other coach or doing something.
Right.
See, I'm a Saints fan forever. Now the Saints do this thing where when they get an interception or something big on defense, the whole defense runs to the length of the field to the end zone and they pose for a picture. Okay. And this can take 15, 20 seconds. To me, that's excessive celebration, but they don't get flagged for that.
They don't, and I can speak on part of the reason why that is one, it's kind of become a tradition in the NFL now that when someone gets an interception, the team celebrates. The other thing is all turnover plays are reviewed, and then typically for an NFL game, there's a televised commercial break when an interception happens. So that's why they get a little more leeway when there's an interception to celebrate. Because
there's no rush to get back to the game.
There's no rush to get back to the game.
But it makes it a gray area. Yeah. Allowing that because of the television, blah, blah, blah. It makes it a gray area. Yeah. You either can celebrate or you can't. And I think it is human to celebrate. Okay? This is a football game. Okay. It is a football game.
I'll take you back about...
This is not military. This is not a ceremony. It's a football game.
15, 20 years, Joe Horn scores a touchdown, runs over to the goalpost, lifts up the pad, and he pulls out a cell phone because he's calling somebody because he scored a touchdown. That was his celebration. Flag, that's not necessary.
No, it's not. That's too much. And I've also heard the argument about it being, it's a team thing. You didn't do this by yourself. Yeah. I don't think somebody who's celebrating making a touchdown is saying they did it by themselves. They're just dancing for a second.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I, in fact, enjoy the dance a lot. I look for it. I'm like, I need the little dance.
It's the question is about whether it becomes excessive or not. And to me, maybe the way that, and I'm not a ref, which that's a good thing, by the way. Although in some cases, I think I would do a better job. But that's beyond the point.
Especially this season.
But you're making a judgment call. If you're gesturing towards the crowd and it's sort of that nanny boo-boo kind of child thing, I understand why they're trying to keep that from happening because you don't want to face the opposing team. To me, that's what that's about. Looking at the opponent, the fans of the opponent or your opponent.
I don't know if they're doing that every time, but
it doesn't matter. What if they are? That's what I'm saying. At some point, you've got the opposing fans sitting at some point in the stand. If you're facing those teams, or like Sam said, making fun of the coach, to me, that would be excessive. So boasting may be the word. There's a difference between celebrating and boasting.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
Like whenever there's a sack, usually the guy that did the sack, 2 or 3 of them jump up, they start flexing, or they do the thing where they start eating, like I'm eating your lunch.
Oh, I'm not seeing that.
To me, that is boasting, and that should be okay. You celebrate, high fives, get back in the huddle.
You guys,
and that's a good point, because nobody calls people out on that on the college level or the NFL
it's only
level.
after a score usually.
Because generally speaking, if we're talking about sort of the letter of the law, what refs are looking for, they're much more stringent on college players than the NFL. For a while now, the NFL rules were closer to college, where it was the no fun league, and nobody liked that. Nobody liked that. There was backlash, and eventually they were like, you know what? Let's let them celebrate.
It's entertainment.
So the rules became much more laxed, and the focus is really on touchdowns, both in the NFL and college level. They're really looking to see, okay, are you going too far after a touchdown? And in college, they're super strict. I've seen a few this season where it's just like, really? So they're very strict on college. They're a lot more lax on NFL, but I think they don't want people to go too far. And if I was to evaluate why they do this, I think that they basically just have a little less faith at the college level, since these are younger adults, that they're going to take
for
it
them to control
responsibly.
themselves. You mean?
As opposed to professional adults. Now that's my take on it. That might not be true.
Talk about some of the behavior in the NFL. I don't know.
Yeah, some people take it too far there too.
But
So no argument there.
The rushing of the field that happened this weekend, was that at the end of the Auburn game?
Yeah, Iron Bowl.
Okay, and so when you have. I'm giving an exaggerated number here, but the reason that would exist, I understand that.
Safety.
Yeah, safety. You have 30,000 people hitting the field at one time. Someone could get hurt, and it actually did happen. So the school is also going to get a penalty for that.
Yeah.
But and I guess that one's
that's
a
obvious
pretty obvious
that
one,
that
right?
shouldn't happen. But
but the other is subjective. It's weird. The only reason I'm a little conflicted on it is because I agree with the concept of have some fun. No, it doesn't need to be uptight, but I don't know if the refs are always throwing the flag at the right moments. It's funny, as much as I agree with not wanting to see in your face kind of stuff to the opposing team fans, and being all gloaty and, boastful. I still think the refs will throw the flag at the wrong moment for something that to me doesn't look like excessive celebration.
Well, can you imagine though? I'm not trying to be, hey, think about the refs too, but there's a lot going on around them. It is, and there's a lot of them, so they should be consulting each other constantly. But there are times, I'm sure, when once you throw it, you can't take it back, right? I mean, once it's down,
technically you can.
You can?
Yeah, because the head ref can
Except they
come
make
in.
mistakes.
They have a discussion, and inadvertent flag, no flag on the play.
Well, I will say this: I've never seen a college player catch a ball. I've never seen it. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Catch a ball in the end zone, score the touchdown, and I've never seen the dance as gloaty to the opponent. I've only seen it as celebratory for their team and for their fans. And I am down for that.
Well,
I like that.
And I think that's why most times you don't see a flag thrown, probably, because it falls in whatever the refs feel is legitimate celebration, just not excessive.
We have some excessive celebration at our house sometimes.
Yeah, we do.